Putting together ad creative is actually one of the hardest things you're going to have to learn if you want to do Facebook ads. But to be honest, there is some shortcuts that people like myself have learned just through a lot of experience. So in today's video, I'm going to share everything I know about ad creatives in a way that will hopefully make sense to you and with all the noise cut out so that you can get started straight away. So for those who don't know who I am, my name is Jimmy. Everyone calls me Uncle Jimmy, and I've been in the SMMA space now for 8 years, and I'm a coach over at Easy Grow, which is Charlie Morgan's course, and I've taught several hundred people like yourself how to create ads to get results and make sure you deliver on the service that you're promising. So let's just get straight in with, and let's go over a little bit of what we're going to cover off today. And I promise that my ability to do ads is a lot better than my ability to handwrite. So just look through the handwriting. Okay. So we're going to start with the foundations. I'm a big believer that anything you do in life needs to start with solid foundations, and creating ad creative is no different. And then we're going to go through some mistakes that people make quite often that I see in the coaching calls that I do. And then I'm going to go through some examples of decent ad creative. And then I've actually gone to my community and asked them for examples of their ads so we can go and do a bit of an audit and give them some tips and advice on how they can improve it, because that is one of the best ways to learn how to do creative, is to see how someone that knows what they're doing critiques and makes changes. So I think it's important to start with what the actual job of creative in ads is. And it's surprising, a lot of people don't actually understand the reason that creative exists on an ad. And its job is only there to stop people scrolling. And people forget that when they're creating their Facebook ad creatives. They just go, I'm just going to put a really fancy ad together with a fancy ad creative, not realizing that it has one job, which is to stop people. And I like to use the analogy of the 9mm versus the 45 caliber, right? If you shoot someone with the 9mm, it will hurt them, but it won't stop them in their tracks. They'll still be coming towards you. A 45 caliber, if you shoot someone with that, it will blow them backwards. And that's what we need to do, is make ads that are like 45 caliber, Clint Eastwood, go ahead and make my day. So you do remember it, when someone's on Facebook and they're scrolling, they're in a dopamine loop, in a dopamine cycle. So they're scrolling on Facebook, getting constant mini dopamine hits. And you see how fast people scroll on Facebook. And if your ad creative doesn't have the stopping power, you won't be able to stop someone doing that. You need to be able to go, well, and they see your ad and go, oh, what was that? And scroll back up slightly to have a look at it. That's what it needs to do. And it's something that I see a lot of people make mistakes with, because they just forget the simple fundamental that the ad is there to stop people, and it's there to increase your click-through rate all. So you have two key metrics in ads when it comes to click-through rate. You have link click-through rate and click-through rate all. So link click-through rate is anytime anyone clicks your learn more button or your sign up button at the bottom of your ad. And your click-through rate all is how often people engage with the ad in total, right? So people expanding the image, people clicking the read more to read more of your text, people just like accidentally clicking on your ad. That's all included in click-through rate all, as well as the link click-through rate. And your creative is there to stop people and increase click-through rate all, because if you don't have a high click-through rate all, you won't have a high link click-through rate. You got to remember that, contrary to popular belief, a lot of people will actually read at least a portion of the text you have on an ad. And the goal of your creative is to stop people so that they will hit the read more and learn a little bit more about your service. And I want you to think about ad creative as like thumbnails in YouTube, right? So if we're looking at this thumbnail here on YouTube, I just picked a random video that was on my feed, but if we're looking at this, generally what happens with the eyes is something like this. Firstly, what your eyes do is your eyes will be drawn to the picture, right? You'll look at this picture, and in this case, you're probably looking at this number first, then this here, right? Again, on YouTube, we're scrolling, we're looking at several images at once. So we need the image to stop us so that we can then read this. People, contrary to popular belief, one of the most important things on a thumbnail, on a YouTube video, is the title. So what generally happens is you'll start here, then you'll move to here, and then if you like the title, you'll generally go back to the image and read it a little bit more or process it a little bit more. That's how it works on YouTube. And Facebook creatives are very similar. Generally what people do is they'll look at this creative first. Let's say this is the image on Facebook. They'll look at this creative first, have a glimpse of it, then read your first sentence, which is generally up here. Then they'll have a better look at the image to see if it's contextually similar enough for them to stop getting the dopamine hits they're getting and try and get a better dopamine hit from your ad. So let's talk about some of the things that actually make up a good creative. I know we're skimming through these fundamentals, but like I said, I've got a lot of examples and that's where we're going to learn the meat, but we need to have a bit of background, right? So what makes good creative? Readability is everything. This is number one. Readability is something that people overlook when they make creatives, and it's super important. And I'm not talking about readability as in like the size of font or the text of font. What I'm talking about in readability is this. So if we look at this image, and I was just to go, and I don't know how this is going to work because I might break it, but if I was to go like that, you can still make out what it says and what is on the image, right? You can still make out that it's a picture of a helmet. You can still make out the point too, because you got to remember when someone's scrolling, they're doing this, right? They're scrolling like that. So you need to be able to read it without being able to look at it very well. If it's not readable like that, like if you can't make out what's in the image from a readability perspective, like you can make out that's a figure or that's a house or that's a picture of a person smiling, then no one's going to stop because they're moving too fast through the ad. So readability is everything. And I actually physically like to do this when I'm creating ad creative. I'll get an ad and I'll just shake it like this and I'll see if I can still tell what it is. So yeah, I can still tell it's a helmet. I can still read the 0.266. I can still read that because it's readable. And that's really important. People forget that. They create these super fancy looking ad creatives that look aesthetically pleasing when nothing's moving, but as soon as you move it, it turns into one big blob that you can't work out what it actually is. So the next thing that makes a really good ad creative is the ability for that ad to reflect a problem, solution, or curiosity. And what I mean by that is a lot of people create ad creative and there's no like strategic direction on why it's made. They've just taken a picture, slapped it on there because the picture is a picture of a house. Really what you should be doing is aligning the creative that you make, like the main body of the creative, which is either a picture or what have you, or a picture of a house or whatever, with either a problem, a solution, or a problem that you're solving for the potential customer, or a solution to the problem that they have, or curiosity. So a good example of this, right, is I see this in the housing, in the real estate market a lot. You'll have people that make a ad creative for real estate and they have a picture of the real estate agent on there. No one gives a crap about the real estate agent unless they're super famous. If you had Tom Hardy as a real estate agent, of course that would stop people, right? Because people don't recognize who he is. If it's just some random real estate agent, probably not. You're much better having a picture of a family standing in front of a house with a big smiles on their face, because that's the outcome that they want. Or the problem being maybe a home open with no one in it. Picture of a home open and no cars out the front. That would be a good example of the problem, right? The problem might be for the potential customers in this case. Do you want a real estate agent that'll work day and night for you or will fill up home opens? That reflects the problem. The solution is having a house and having a happy family. Curiosity might be a picture of cookies sitting on a table. That might invoke curiosity because people might go, why the cookies are there? What the hell has a cookie got to do with real estate? It has to reflect one of those three things. That I found the best ad creators I've made, the body of the creative itself reflects one of those three things: a problem, a solution, or curiosity. So a couple of other things I've got here that make really good ad creative, in my opinion, is you need to have call to actions and/or text on your creative. Now, people go overboard with this, and I'll cover off when we start to look at the examples, like how much or how little we need, but you really do need a call to action on there because, like I said, some people are going to decide whether they click further by looking at that picture. And if it's just a picture of a nice house, they may forget that it's an ad that has some kind of action towards it, because you've got to remember, a lot of the pictures that they're looking at on Facebook don't have anything on them. They're just a picture of a house or a picture of a person smiling. And you don't want to get caught up in that where someone's, oh yeah, that's a pretty picture, look at it for a few seconds and then move on. So it really needs to have a call to action on there to get people to actually get moving. And the text is good on there because it gives even more context to what the image is about. Another thing is to use bold, contrasting, or complementary colors. So you really want to make sure that your ad, it doesn't necessarily have to stick to the aesthetics of the person you're working with, because you remember, our job is to have stopping power in the image. And if that means you have to use red and your brand doesn't have red, unless it's a big brand that has really strict brand guidelines, use whatever will get someone to stop and look at your picture. And if that means you have to use purple, it means you have to use purple. If it means that you've got a green body and you need to use red to contrast something, use that. If you've got black, a majority black, use white. You've got to have contrasting primary colors for readability's sake. And don't be afraid to go, oh, that looks ugly. It's not the point. If it's ugly, if it stops people, that doesn't matter. And then you need to use a supporting image, right? So we've spoken about that. I see a lot of people using images, but they don't really support what's actually in the ad. So like that ties a little bit back to problem solution, having an image that ties back to a problem solution or creates curiosity. A lot of people will just use any random old image because it looks pretty. But again, we're after stopping power. We need to make sure that, like, if, for instance, let's go back to the thumbnail we were looking at just before, right? If this thumbnail was a picture of a candlestick, right, as opposed to a picture of a Formula One head, you may be confused about what it's about, and it may not stop people. Whereas this is instantly recognizable as a Formula One driver because of the helmet, right? You need to have a picture that tells part of the story. And there's many ways to do that, but if you just have a picture that ties to the problem or the solution or invokes curiosity and it contextually ties back, you should be pretty safe with that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the mistakes that people make when it comes to ad creative. Again, I'm moving through this pretty quick because the foundations are the foundations. I think you're going to learn a lot more by just looking and giving some feedback on ones that we look at, but you need to have some foundational knowledge. So let's talk about some of the mistakes. No stopping power. You've seen how I've emphasized this whole stopping power concept several times because it's super important. If your ad creative doesn't have stopping power, it will never be successful. The most successful ads on Facebook are ones that go, whoa, what is that? You need to have that. Then something else I see a lot of is people prioritizing brand over best practices. And what I mean by that is I see people putting a random logo that takes up half of their ad creative because they're trying to keep it on brand, or they're using a color that isn't complementary or to what the rest of the image looks like, and they're using that because it's on brand. So they might have a picture that's dark and then all of a sudden they use like a brown text because it's their text, the brand guidelines for the business they're working with are brown. Do not do that. Don't worry about the brand. Unless you're a massive brand and the brand carries itself, no one cares about the brand. You're a random picture on the internet. So don't try and insert your brand just because you think it needs to be in there. Follow the best practices that we spoke about earlier. That's all you have to do. And then too much text. Now, like I mentioned, you need a call to action and text on your creative, but people go overboard. They have like half of the image is text, and it's just too much. When you're talking about someone that's just stopped scrolling and stopped looking at pictures to look at your picture, if you're asking them to do too much at the very start, like reading a bunch of text on a creative, then they're never going to engage with your ad. It's plain and simple. And then no clickbait. I see this, a bit of clickbait, people putting crazy stuff on their images and stuff like that. Just don't clickbait because people will read the copy. And if the copy doesn't align with the creative, then they won't do it. So if it looks like it's some kind of like medical thing and it's actually to do with health insurance, then you're going to get stuck. So it's more common sense. If you need to look at your ad creative and go, is this picture giving the wrong impression of what is in the actual text? If it is, then change the picture, change the creative. And also not thinking outside of the box with clients. Now you can see I added this at the very end, something I thought about as I was making this. A lot of people, when I'm coaching them, tell me that they can't get the right images from their client to do the job. And that's a fair excuse. You've got some companies and owners that are lazy that won't give you it, or you can't go and get a physical picture that would be perfect. Go and hire someone on Fiverr to take the picture for you in this environment that you need. Another thing you do is stock images. Now, I hear a lot of people saying don't use stock images, but you've got to use stock images that are relevant and don't necessarily look like stock images. And that's not easy to do, but if you're in a pinch, stock images do work. You just got to make sure you use stuff that looks like it's a real image. And there's a lot of people I see use stock images and they use super generic looking ones like a person handshaking with another person. Of course, that's not going to work. But if you're doing one for a house and you get a family standing in front of a house, that will work. It doesn't matter if it's a professional photo or not. And I think it's just an application of the wrong stock images for the wrong circumstances. And that will get you stuck. But stock images do work very well, contrary to what everyone says. So let's talk about video for a sec. Video works amazingly well, but as you can see, I've put a big asterisk in here. It works very well with a big asterisk, and that it has to follow certain guidelines for it to work well. And now I see people saying, oh, don't use photos because videos work so much better. That can be the case, and that is the case in a good chunk of the circumstances. But what I find is that people do such a terrible job of the videos that you're almost better off using photos because, yes, it may not get as outstanding results as a video, but it will get results. And video can be a lot more binary whether it gets results or not because it's not as readable as, say, a picture that they can just digest. The video has to move them through a story. But there is some best practices that we can do here. Your video needs to be less than 1 minute. So if you have a video that's 3 minutes long that's on Facebook, it won't work. It needs to be less than 1 minute. It needs to be formatted correctly for where it's going. So you need a video that's 1:1, you need a video that's 4:5, and you need a video that's 9:16. And you need a video that's 16:9 as well. So you need to make sure when you're doing the video, you can cut it to different sizes. So when you're framing it, you need to make sure if you cut a 16:9 video down to 9:16, which is vertical, it doesn't cut off key information. And you'll probably have to go back in and do your captions and things like that. You need to also get straight to the point. I see a lot of people faff around. They put some awesome looking intro at the start. Don't do that. Just get straight to the point. Sell what you're trying to do. Sell it as if it's a problem and you're providing a solution. So a very good example of this is to go to the gym. It might be like, hey, are you overweight and are you wanting to lose weight because you want to look good on the beach? With our 30-day beach body program, we're going to make sure that you look the best you've ever had in your life. That's what it needs to do. It just needs to be punchy, straight to the point. A lot of people faff around by trying to add B-roll into it. Don't worry about it. Just get straight to the point. Make it talk straight to what you're going to do, because people's attention spans on Facebook are so small that if it waffles on, they're just not going to watch it. And it needs to have some kind of narrative, like problem solution framework to it. It can't just be you selling the features of what you do. Like, it needs to be, this is the problem, this is the solution. And ideally you would marry that up with the copy that they're going to read when they align with this. So it might be like, for instance, with this creative video, if I was going to put this on Facebook, I'd be like, do you suck at making Facebook ads creative? With this, if you click this link and watch this 30-minute video, I can guarantee that you're going to be comfortable to make your next ad creative, and you're going to make an ad creative that's going to get results. Problem, solution. See how much better that works than going, oh, hi everyone, I'm Jimmy and I've been doing this for 30 years and I've created this awesome video that runs you through, that I go through and I actually make like edits to videos and do audits. It doesn't work as well as just straight punchy to the point. And the first 3 seconds is absolutely everything on these videos. If your first 3 seconds is boring or it doesn't get straight to the point, you will lose people. That's why it's a key metric on Facebook, first 3 seconds, because it has to capture people's attention. If it doesn't, they'll just move on to the next dopamine hit on Facebook. So let's run through some examples. This is probably what you guys have come here for. I'm going to run through some examples of creatives I think work well. I've just pulled these off the internet. I was just looking around at what other people thought worked well, and I'm going to break down why I think they work well. And then we're going to go through some examples of ones that have come from our community, and look at those. If you want to be in one of these videos in the future, make sure to join my school community, which is linked in the description. Make sure to join that, because that's where I pull this stuff from, is from my community. The idea for this video came from the community, because I want to make videos that you guys get value from. And the best way to do that is make things that you want. So let's look at this first one. This one is for some deodorant, but let's look at what they're doing on here and why it works so well, okay? I can guarantee that this ad will work well. Now, for context, I'm using a green screen, so there's green ticks just here. Okay, so if there's nothing there, that we're not really going to be looking at this today. We're just going to be looking at the creative though. So let's have a look at this image. So the first thing you got to look at what the first thing that draws your eye, right? So we have like a pinkish background, and then you have this lovely African-American woman or Caribbean woman on here. She contrasts really well against the pink background, right? So immediately the pink background draws the type of audience, which is obviously, this is a feminine product. It's for females. If it isn't, they haven't done a very good job of the color scheme. But let's say it's for females because it's got like colors that females would be attracted to. And then they've got this beautiful ebony woman, and then they've got the outcome you're trying to achieve, which is amazing. This is a really good use of the outcome. Smell better naked. That's the outcome you're trying to achieve. If you want to smell better naked, then you buy this. It's amazing. This is such a good use of text. And then they've got these little like benefits here. Stops odor before it starts, for the whole body, aluminum free. And then a picture of the product of it's a product-based ad. So they've got a picture of a product. And then they've got the outcome here, right? The outcome is this woman who's happy without clothes on and lifting her arms, because normally that would imply there'd be smell coming out. But obviously she's happy because there's no smell. So this is an amazing ad. And you'll notice this is probably a big brand, this Lou deodorant, but look how small their logo is in the corner. They don't make the logo the superstar of the ad. They make the logo just in the corner, so probably so people can't steal it, to be fair. But it's really, we need to be pragmatic about this stuff and go, would this make a woman who is who is annoyed about how she smells when she's naked, or annoyed at how she smells, would this get someone to click on that ad or stop scrolling if the ad is like this? See how readable it is? Even though we're just doing this, it's still readable. The contrast between the woman and the background is so good that it stops. And this is a bit of a high level hack, but one of the things that humans can recognize the easiest out of anything is a face. So if you want to have that readability, have a face on there that's smiling, because when you're looking like this, what is the one thing out of everything there? It's a smiling face. Even though I'm scrolling really fast, you still see a smiling face. So if you really want to have an ad that stops people and readability, have a smiling face on it. That's why you see so many ads with smiling faces. So this ad is really good. If I was going to change anything, I would use something else. I would use something else down here, because this one here is not really readable. Sorry, this one's readable. These two aren't really that readable. And it's probably just a better use of the space. There could be something else like another outcome you could put there. But I don't know. This ad will work regardless of whether they change that or not. So that's a really good ad, good example. And why it works, again, contrast is the main reason. And it talks to the specific audience, which is women in this case. All right, this is another ad I found, which I really like. So it's for a dentist. Now, you wouldn't initially know that by looking at it. The picture is everything on this. It doesn't show it. So like the thing is with this, you have to have graphic editing nous, right? With this one, you don't have to. It's just a good picture that accurately represents the outcome, which is a kid happy at the dentist. So the outcome of what we're trying to do as a dentist, a kid's family dentist, is have little ones that want to go to the dentist. And this text is brilliant. It's just the wrong color. That text, if that was a different color and maybe different font, this ad would just about be perfect, because the problem is it's not readable. The picture is, but like the text is. And even when you go here, you really have to squint to see what it is. And it says, for those who can't read it, it says, it's okay, I actually like going to the dentist, mummy. Now, as a parent who this ad is targeting, that's the outcome we want to hear from our child. That's the solution, right? So you would like look at this, you would quickly skim over this, then you'd probably read this first text, and then you would like really look at this, and it would invoke an emotion. It would make you happy to think that your child is happy at the dentist. Like I said, the only thing I would change in this ad is I would change the color of this text and maybe try a different font. I would also probably make it italics as well, if someone had spoken it. Besides that, really great image for an ad. And I think if you were going to have a kid's dentist, I would go and find this picture on the internet and steal it, because this would be a stock image, because it's too professional. So I definitely like that one. This one is pretty good. I got this one because I like the theory of it. It could be improved slightly, but I like the theory to it. You know what it's about. I deliberately left off the stuff at the top because I wanted to show you that a good image that is readable gets you should be able to know what it does without reading any text, right? So like this here, you can see what this is about, because this represents dentist, this represents dentist, this represents dentist down here, right? Same with this, right? It's obviously a painting ad, right? This here, it's interesting because what I would do if this was my image is I would actually change the color of her shirt. So I'd go on Photoshop and change the color of her shirt to a contrasting color to blue. So she stands out more. Even this, I would change the color of that, just so she stands out more. Or I would change the color of the paint, just so there's contrast, right? They're two similar colors, but like the star of the show is actually this. So the text is the star of the show. Leave it to us. Clearly that means leave the painting to us, right? And it's targeting a specific audience, which is women who don't want to paint. Now, what I would do differently on this ad, like I said, is that I also potentially, maybe I would, instead of having a woman painting, I would actually have a woman here looking sad or screaming or something, like frustrated outcome, right? So this is more talking about the middle bit, but we need to talk about the after or before. And the before is I'm so frustrated, I don't want to paint. The after is a beautifully painted wall. But why I added this is amazing. Leave it to us. It like perfectly says what they do, and it could do with a call to action maybe in this corner just to get people to take action, like contact us today. But it does a really good job of articulating what it does without having to know what the rest of the ad's about. And then I found this ad, which is for a Boston sports club, which is a gym. And I found this one was quite good just because of the contrast, right? So again, readability's sake, very readable because there's a face. Humans are attracted to faces. And then her eyes are actually drawing you to what's there. She's looking at it. So all I would say here is like, I would have made that text bigger. Join today for only $5. I would have made that massive. I would have taken up this whole section here. But the reason it works well, and it has stopping power, is because there's contrast. Let me just change color. There's contrast between this background and this shirt and her face. So it goes to show that you don't need fancy backgrounds if you can create contrast. And it is also attracting a certain type of woman, right? So the woman that would be attracted to this ad would be like a strong woman who's wanting to get stronger because she's obviously clearly got boxing gloves on. So I really like this image as well. But it goes to show like the fundamentals we spoke about: readability, contrast, not necessarily following the brand. The brand's over here and tiny in the corner. Call to action or text on the image, some kind of hero image like a picture. They're all important, and every ad so far has had that. All right, let's have a look at this one here. I like this one because it shows that you don't necessarily need a picture of a person. Like I would always recommend that you have a picture of a person, but sometimes it doesn't work. So you can see here, readable, right? That's why I like it. It's readable. So save $500 is big and bold. That's the outcome, right? Oh, well, that's like the call to action. The outcome is this roof here. And I love how they've gone and highlighted the roof with a third color. So they picked a contrasting color to blue, which is yellow. And then they've gone and made it so that the roof stands out. Now, it probably doesn't stand out as much in this video because it's on green screen, but that's actually yellow. And it does a really good job of contrasting. What I would say though, is this here could be bigger because it's pretty important. And I don't like this on your roof insulation. That could be like, get your new roof cheaper, something like that. And I wouldn't have the logo on there. Besides that, it does a good job. I also would actually, now that I think about it, I would actually have an arrow pointing to the roof, something like that. That's what I would do here. But again, I love this ad because contrast, readability, shows you don't need a picture, and this is the front and center, and the roof is secondary because it blends in with the background. All right, let's look at this one here. So this one here, there's a bit going on in this image, but I like it because I would obviously take that out. That's too big. And I would probably I'd probably make this a little bit more readable, and I would have like free event up here. So I'd actually put this over here and have free event, because the outcome is this. This is what that's what people are drawn to, is a happy family, right? That's the outcome. What I would do is make that picture bigger. I would make it so it was like the image was something like that. So like the people took up more of the picture, just so you could see the faces. The only problem with this image specifically is that it's not super readable. So if I was to do this, it's actually quite hard to work out what it is. So that's why I was saying make the people bigger, but it shows outcome, right? So your image has to do something, and this one is showing the outcome, which is happy family, right? You go to this event, you'll have a happy family. That's what I like about it. And then I picked this one because it's a little bit different. So this is for a chiropractor. Now, you wouldn't necessarily know that by looking at this image, right? But what I really like about it is that it shows that you don't have to get super fancy with this. He's just happened to have jagged this. He's got contrast with them and the background. There's contrast there. So they stand out. They're smiling. They're giving you a thumbs up. What people are going to do is when people read this, what people are going to do here, just make sure it's readable. See how the faces are the thing. What people are going to do here is they're going to stop. They're going to be scrolling. They're going to stop on that, and then they're going to read what's up here. So I think this could actually do with a bit. I think this copy could change a little bit, but again, I've got a video on copy. That could change because people are going to read this and get context on here. But I just really liked the image because it just shows it doesn't have to be super fancy. What I would say in this image though is I would have some kind of text on here, just a call to action, even if it was up here. It might be like book in today or something like that. But it just goes to show that you don't have to get super fancy with it. Just pick contrasting images that are readable, that have stopping power. And then people, if you had really good copy up here, people would read that and then they'd be able to put two and two together that this dude is a chiropractor. Okay, so we've now looked at some good examples, some reference points to the foundations we were talking about. Now we're going to do some real-time auditing This is the first time I've seen any of these, and these have come out of my community on School, which is a free school community. Go and add yourself to that in the description. So these are all members of the community, and they're creative. So we're going to look at these. So this is clearly for a wedding photography service, right? And I like it. I like it. There's not really much I would change here except what's in here, right? I like this band. The image does what it needs to do. You can see these people are happy. It's the outcome, a beautiful photo. What I would say though is this text is fine, like as in the contrast and everything like that, but just get rid of this. Just have wedding and video packages, and then I would have this cross red, and I would have this right in green. And then I would go and get rid of that. And then I would over here potentially have save XYZ or something like that. You've got too much text on there. It makes it hard to read. Let's have a look at the readabilities. Yep, that's fine. You go wedding photo and video package, 4,500, crossed out with red. And then you would have 39,999 in green. Or you don't have the price. If you have the price on there because of quality, that's fine. Or you could just have wedding info now 40% off for a limited time, something like that. That's fine. This is good. What I like about it is that it's contrasty, it's readable, it shows the outcome, the text is readable, and it will stop people, right? People like seeing a good outcome like this. So this is a good, and I think if you just made those changes, this one will work even better. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one here. This is actually two separate ads. There should be some space between them, but this is two separate ads. So let me just move this one slightly. There we go. It's two separate ads, right? The first ad, so for context, this is for generators, like home generators. What I will say is that this image here needs a bit of work. And obviously the green is being blown out because I'm on a green screen on this tool, but there's no context, right? You got this picture of a generator and there's no context to it. So what I would do is either find the picture of the generator on its own and put it against a contrasting background. So something like a black background, an orange background or something like that. And then I would use this space up here to give it some text. And I would have save on your house costs, save on your energy bills forever. Something like that up here. I would have something like that. Just so that there's some context on this, right? Because the readability, it's not very readable because you don't know what it is. But that's got a lot to do with this foreground crap here. This dude who's taking away from this and the image, whereas we could put this on a background that gave a contrast and it would work it would stand out. So that's what I would do there. And then obviously have the text on there to give some context to what it is. And then this one here, I see this a lot. You're trying to say too much on this ad, right? There's too much going on, right? I actually quite like this. I think that's quite interesting. But the problem with it is that there's too much going on this side, which pulls away from this dude. So I would really simplify what text I had on here. So I would keep this dude. That's fine. The logo, that's fine. You maybe have to change that, but that's fine. It might be, I would just have like your local electrical superhero, right? I would have that and I would make it go there. And then you can have this here. Don't worry about this. It's too, and then you need to fit a call to action in there somewhere. So it might be down here. You might get rid of this and just have free home estimates there. That could work as well. But you need to really remove a lot of this text because with all that text, it loses readability. And it's like too difficult for someone to actually take note. So the other thing you could potentially do is if you're running out of space, is just zoom in so that this part is showing. That's another thing you could do there. But I like that. I like it. It's a bit tongue in cheek. It should work. But I would just stick to just this. And maybe this, I would be testing that. I would get rid of this bit and I would either put something down here with some kind of offer. That's what I would do there. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, so this one is interesting. So there's two ads coming here, but I might as well just zoom in and do them individually. So this is obviously got stopping power. If you read this, you'd be, oh my God. But it says a lot without saying anything, if that makes sense. So you got attention electricians up here. Get more emergency calls today. The problem with this is that you read this individually. I would be just like electricians. I wouldn't get attention electricians. I'd be electricians. And I would be like, get more calls today. exclamation point. I would just simplify this, and I would like have get more calls. I would put that in there. So it'd be like get more calls today, and I'd have electricians here. Should work. I don't know if it'll be super effective because it doesn't have any stopping power. Like it's not, it's like people will stop, but they may not engage with it because it's too aggressive. But it's worth trying if you made those tweaks. And then this here is the other image you got. Yeah, this is not gonna work that well. Mainly, obviously this is in a carousel, right? But don't ever use clip art. It just screams like the days of clip art are over. Actually find a picture of an electrician and put him in there. Okay. And the reason for that is that people know fake, and people aren't attracted to fake imagery. Even though it's like clip art, it's like people won't resonate with this. People just won't resonate with what's here. Whereas if this was a picture of an electrician even doing a thumbs up, it would get way more engagement. I also think the background needs to be better suited to the environment. Black is such an aggressive color. Like this could be like, let's say your electrician has orange overalls on or gray overalls. You might go like dark purple or something like that. And then this needs to be formatted properly. And I think it would need to be something different, because if this was for like to get help electricians get more emergency calls, then we don't need to say this here. We need to talk about either the problem, solution, or outcome, or call to action. So this needs to talk to a problem, solution, or create curiosity, right? Like our call to. So I would actually make this something like the outcome, right? So like getting more emergency calls might be like, we could have potentially something like, what's the outcome, right? They want to make more money. And that one's interesting because if you've got a picture of the outcome, which is a happy electrician, then this could be something like, it might not even need text. It might be just like limited time offer or something like that. The text might be just detracting from the picture, because what would you write in there that could actually work besides get more emergency calls? But if you did that, it doesn't give context to this guy. It almost needs to be like a picture of an electrician on a phone taking a phone call, and then that would work. I would actually have get more emergency calls, but maybe try different styles to this. It's like too aggressive. It looks like an emergency. Whereas if you just did the text and it wasn't like uppercase and it was lowercase and it was maybe a different font and it wasn't on a black background, it would be more readable. Right now, it's so overwhelming, that red on black, that people are just going to be overwhelmed if they see it. So this one is another one. So just for context, this is green here and this logo is green. So I really dislike having multiple images on one ad. And the reason, unless it's a carousel, and the reason for that is like it loses the readability. You have no idea what this is, right? So I don't like having multiple images. It doesn't do anything. So I would just pick one of these three images. I'd probably pick this one here because like it's smiling faces. You zoom it in, so it's just the smiling faces are taking up the whole image like that. And then I would have some text to support it. So you got 8 panels for $67 a month. This space here might be, so like you might have 8 panels for $67 a month here, and you might have in the text here, you might have reduce your energy costs forever, something like that. So there's context to what they're going to get. But right now, this is like just a waste of a third of the space because the logo doesn't need to be in there. And this, it doesn't mean anything to anyone, because if they don't know they need panels, then they're not going to click this. Whereas if you put the panels up here, 67 a month, starting from 67 a month, and then you have reduce your energy costs forever, reduce your energy costs there forever down here, then they would go, look at the picture would stop them. They would read that energy costs forever. Then they would see that from $67 a month, and then they would go and read the text to find out it's solar panels. All right, so we got 2 images here. Let's have a look at this one firstly. Again, this one's not too bad. I know it's got a lot of text on here. Get rid of this. That's not helping. Get rid of the logo. That's not helping. I would really focus on making that massive. Don't miss out. And then you could have this text smaller, but what I'll do is make this a different color. And then I would change this image to something like an outcome, maybe a family sitting on a couch. Because you will be moving stuff around, like you would have more space, you could probably make this thing bigger, like that. And I would have a picture of a family on a couch or something, because it's like, what's the outcome? Or family's comfortable, or a warm house. But don't worry about the logo, you don't need that. And I would just like move that. Or it might be like, stay warm this winter, or reduce energy bills, or something like that. Put that there. then the free $250, I would make that a different color so it stands out. So people say there's something for free. And then I would run with that. You might also try this without this text at all. And the reason for that is it like talks to the boiler upgrade. We want them to see what we're talking about in the copy. We want this to stop people, right? If they put two and two together, that's a boiler and they can't afford it for whatever reason, they've made that mind up in their head, they may not click. Whereas if this was like, stay comfortable this winter, don't miss out, then they save 250 pounds, then they may click the ad. So I'd like have stay comfortable this winter, don't miss out, save $250 today. I'd have something like that. And then I have a picture of a family being warm over here. All right, so let's look at the next one here. Don't worry about that. That's not the outcome. Again, picture is okay, but use the outcome. That's like the middle bit. No one cares that the guy's an electrician. Use something that so either use a picture of someone like a family looks like they're really cold, or a person that looks like they're really cold, or a person that's really warm. Problem or the solution, right? And then the same, what I was saying about up here is you might make that bigger, right? Use up that space with the image, and then you might go limit time over claim image, get a smart. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now, in this one, what I do like about it is these little like motifs, these here, they're good. I quite like them. They break them up. I use them in my ads as well. Just breaks it up, adds a little pop of color, gives people a reason to stop and look at it. Okay, so here we've got a video. Now, this is a very experimental use of the tool I have, so I don't know if this is going to work, but let's give it a try and see if it does. So this was sent in.
Are you suffering from neck pain, back pain, recurring headaches, sciatica, or even that toothache going down your leg, and you've tried everything but nothing seems to work? That's probably because most doctors look at and treat the symptoms, but they don't really figure out what the root cause is. What I do differently with my staff is we are very thorough here. We make sure that we go through all your history. We ask you a bunch of questions. We make sure that we do a thorough exam, and then we make sure that we take x-rays if they are needed. And when it comes to the part where I adjust you, guess what? It's about your technique, and that's what I have. And that is what makes me different from other chiropractors, is I'm going to walk through every step of the way, and you are going to feel better. Right now, we have an awesome opportunity to help you find out about your root cause and get a plan to fix it. Take care.
Okay, so with this one, this bit is way too long.
From neck pain, back pain, recurring headaches, sciatica, or even that toothache.
Bang, stop.
Go.
So just stop there, because that's what they're doing. Then cut to your dude.
Down your leg, and you've tried everything, but nothing seems to work.
No.
That's probably
so yeah, we want to stop this.
Sciatica, or even that toothache.
Bang, stop it there. Then I would even go, into the solution at that point. So okay, so let me just see this here. So I would be like, even toothache, I'd be like, here at so like a toothache, well, let me just quickly look at this again.
Even that toothache.
Stop.
Going down your leg, and you've tried everything, but nothing seems to
See,
work.
That's
probably because most doctors look at and treat the symptoms, but they don't really figure out what the root cause is. What I do differently with my...
So I would go from like problem straight into solution. It's a toothache, XYZ. We focus on treating the problems, the cause of the problems, so that you can live your life in less pain. And then I would cut to my guy. So I'd add another like second or two of like talking about the solution, same sort of style. And then I would cut to my dude doing his little spiel, which is about here.
Going down, that's really big doc look at the symptom, but they don't really figure out what the root cause is.
Yeah, so
what I do differently with my staff is we are very thorough here. We make sure that we go through all your...
Yeah, and then I would cut into this bit where he talks, because it's interesting to see him talk. Yeah, we're talking about that. And then, yeah, that's fine. This has got way too much text on it. I would just be like, I moved it. I would just be like, my bad. Yeah, I would just be like, get rid of it. I can't draw on it, but I would just be like this, click learn more, and down below, request your special. Get rid of that. Just go for a limited time, full exam, doctor's report, and adjustment massage for all for $49. I would just have that and click learn more today. Something like that. I would simplify this. There's way too much to read. It's too many different texts. It's too many different fonts. And I would try and make it really contrasty. And I would like space out this like full doctor's exam report and massage. And I would have live in less pain today at the bottom as some kind of benefit in this bit. But let me just listen to it.
Awesome opportunity to help you find out about your root cause and get a plan to fix it. Take care.
And I wouldn't have take care at the end. That's just doesn't need to be there. So I wouldn't have take care, but that's good. And I would just have like, where it said take care, I'd just click learn more today to get started or something like that. Cool. I think if you made those tweaks, it could work very well. As far as like the actual video itself, there could be a bit of work. There's a bit of work to do on the actual video itself, like all the different sizes of the images. It's disorientating.
Pain, back pain, recurring headaches, sciatica, or even that toothache.
See how it changes
Going
that
down
sizing?
your leg,
It's just
nothing
distracting.
seems to work. That's probably because most doctors look at and treat the symptoms.
So just try and stick everything to the same ratio. And then this Highland Island and this here, this Highland Island and Villageal parents. I don't know if you need that. I would try it without it. And then if I was going to try it again, I'd try and make it contrast a little bit more so it stands out. Let's have a look at this next video. This one may or may not work. Oh, yep. All right, let's have a look.
Hey, Centennial and surrounding areas, if you're dealing with pain or discomfort in your neck or back, headaches, or even sciatica, please don't click away. In April, we are giving away 20 vouchers.
Okay.
Comprehensive.
So the start of this video here,
Surrounding areas.
don't lead in with the, hey, blah, 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 surrounding areas. Just go straight into the problem. If you're dealing with pain, neck pain, blah, 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 blah.
In your neck or back, headaches, or even sciatica, please don't click away.
And I would lead in with the solution at this point. I would be like, please don't click away, because I've helped hundreds of people to reduce the pain they're in by treating the root causes and not just the symptoms or something like that.
In April, we are giving away 20 vouchers.
And then lead in with your offer after that.
Spinal examination, x-rays if needed, doctor's report of findings, a chiropractic adjustment.
And then, get rid of that R in there.
And a massage session for a special price of $49. Together we will go over the cause.
Get rid of this, like together we go over the cause. That's all that needs to be in there.
Question symptoms you are experiencing and come up with an action plan to help you on your way to a healthier lifestyle and enjoying life again. This way we can get you back to keeping up with the kids, raise your energy, and let you be active again. Simply claim your voucher below and book a time.
So I would like have the middle bit, get rid of that last bit where she like waffles on after the offer, but then I would reinforce like the solution. It's finally live in pain-free in a way, blah, 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 and then into that. So it would shorten the video somewhat, but like from about here.
Your way to a healthier lifestyle.
So you might be like, treat the pain, treat the symptoms, treat the root causes of your pain once and for all and live a healthier lifestyle. Today, click the link below, blah, 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 blah. That's how I would do it. So it would be like problem, solution, the offer in the middle, then reinforcing the solution, and then back to the offer. That's how I would do that. And I would also have captions on this. There's no reason not to have captions in this video. Like I would have some captions rolling across the bottom.
If you're dealing with pain or discomfort in your neck or back, headaches, or even sciatica.
Because then people that don't have the audio up can read it. I'd also put a little bit of background music in this as well. But yeah, that if you do that, I think you'll get a better result from this video. So guys, hopefully that was helpful. Oh God, it's exhausting looking at ad creative, but I love it. And hopefully you've learned a lot and you can get started on your way. Like I said, make sure you add yourself to the school group. If you want me to have a look at one of your creatives, just add it in there, post it, and I will do my best to get back to you with some tips and advice. But hopefully this video has helped you. Leave a comment. Has this video helped you get better at creating creatives? Hopefully it's created a little bit of clarity for you. And let me know in the comments what video you want me to do next. And obviously make sure to subscribe. So I'm Jimmy, And thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.